Welcome to Handforged, the podcast where real tradespeople share their real stories. Here at Handforged, we're dedicated to bringing attention to the trades, fostering a community of blue-collar professionals, and offering support through shared experiences and insights. Each episode will dive deep into journeys, challenges, and successes of our guests. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the trades, you'll find valuable tips, inspiring stories, and practical advice to help you navigate and thrive in your career. So grab your tools and get ready to be inspired. This is Handforged. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Handforged. We are here with Mr. Cooper Richards, the one and only, from Trades Building Company. I've known Cooper for a while. When I had the woodworking business, Cooper actually worked for me. Yeah, it's cool that we were able to kind of reconnect and get you on the podcast and talk a little shop.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, talk about your business a little bit, kind of how you got started in it.
At Seacoast Cabinet, Raleigh, Mass., we offer a full range of services, from design to installation, tailored to residential and commercial applications. We carry 3 lines of American-made cabinetry to fit any budget, ensuring that you get the best quality and value. For more information or a free quote and design, head to seacoastcabinetne.com.
Like Frank said, my business is called Trade Building Company. I kind of lingered on starting a business for a long time. I was thinking about it, and just really, kind of like a common story that you always hear. People, they delay starting it because they don't really feel up to snuff. They don't really feel like you can make it happen, right? Mm-hmm. And even after, I took out the LLC, got the insurance, started the company, I would be reluctant to say, yeah, this is my company. I own this company. I'm a company owner, it's sorry.
No, it's funny because I actually still do that. I tell people I manage a cabinet company.
Yes.
I'm a manager.
Right. So, anyways, I worked for a builder in Salem, New Hampshire, when I was 21. And this was after I stopped working for Frank LeBlanc. I kind of went and worked for a couple different companies. I went and I cut trees, and then I went and I tried to do a couple other things, and nothing really worked out. But ultimately, I knew that I wanted to be a carpenter. So I went and I got this job, and man, I'm struggling. I
must
don't know.
Have been the Reuben.
I think I don't know, like the microphone in my face. I'm like, it just feels like.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So
you cut some trees and shit, and you got into a construction company.
Oh man. Yes. Anyways. So I worked for this company for a little while, and then eventually, just felt like I couldn't find a good mentor for this particular company, right? So there's this company in Boston, super high-end builder, and they posted that they were hiring, and my wife said, "Hey, did you see that they were hiring?" I was like, "Yeah, but they're in Boston. I don't know," because I was living in Derry, right? So that's like a hour commute,
yeah, without traffic.
Without traffic, right? So I was like, I don't know. But then eventually I ended up reaching out to them, and I got this job working on insanely high dollar value projects, getting to see kind of what's possible at the very, very high end of things, which was just like really just an incredible experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man.
And I was able to, some of our customers, it's like, I remember one customer we worked for, we renovated, it was 800 square feet, and it was like an $800,000 project.
It's crazy.
It's like numbers that you can't even imagine. So just to be a part of that and to be able to kind of, like I said, see what's possible and to be able to take the time to make something actually perfect, that was pretty amazing. But then anyways, fast forward 3 years later, I came home. I was kind of bitching about the commute to my wife, and she said, "You should quit." I said, yeah, I know. She said, "No, like tomorrow." And I said, "Okay." And then I went in the next day and I quit.
What was the biggest problem with the company?
It was a great company, great environment, worked with great people. my boss was so good at hiring people that were passionate, right?
Yeah.
So I made so many good friends there. I learned a lot. It was really, it was an amazing company, but the moral of the story is like, I just knew I was never going to relocate to in or around Boston.
Yeah.
It was never my thing. Never wanted to be in the city. In fact, the buildings really trigger me, honestly. I'm like, dude, what is this? This isn't even real life. You know, it's like I'd be in, you know, like the Common, and I'd look up, like, somebody owns that building. What the fuck is going on? Right? So it's just crazy, you know. But anyways, just I have 2 young kids now, but at the time I had my daughter, right, and she was probably 5 years old when I quit, and I was spending too much time in the car.
Yeah.
You know, 3 hours a day for the most part in the car, right? So I figured, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'm working 8-hour days, right? But realistically, I'm working, you know, 11-hour days, 12-hour days, 13-hour days sometimes with this commute.
Right.
And that's absurd, right? And so I'm thinking, you know, if I had all this time, and maybe I'm going to work a 12-hour day running my own business, but then I'm going to be home when I want to be.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and it's your business, your work. You know.
My business, my work.
Different.
Exactly. So I just decided enough was enough. I got what I could get out of that company, and just decided that it was time to try to start my own thing, right? And like I said, kind of like getting from that point to, okay, now I own my own company. It was just crazy. I didn't want to say it to anybody because I really did not feel capable.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was probably the right thing to do, right? And I knew that I had been doing side work for years. When I worked for that first company in Salem, New Hampshire, we worked 4/10s. So I would work Friday and Saturday, side work, and I was busy for years, right? Once I got that job in Boston, I was only working Saturdays, but I was working every single Saturday. So I was working 6 days a week anyway.
On your own clientele?
1 day a week on my own clientele.
Yep.
Yep. And then, so it was just, I was so busy. I was just like, this can't be much different than owning my own company.
Yeah.
So I just decided to start my own thing and see where it goes. And I had a bunch of side work that was not getting done because, you know, say it was a lot of exterior stuff, right? So say one Saturday it rained, now I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Now we're a week out. We're not 1 day out, we're a week out, right?
Yeah.
So I just kept on pushing these jobs down the road, and I'm like, you know what? I have work for the next month if I go off on my own.
Yeah.
I bet that I could find some more work within that month.
For the next
And-
month. Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I just kind of took it 1 month at a time.
How long ago was it when you started your own? Or jumped out on your own?
It was 2 years in March.
Gotcha.
So we're kind of, I don't know my months, but we're it's been, you know, over 2 years.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so it's been awesome, you know, and a learning experience. And I do, you know, just general remodeling. So it's like people always reach out, oh, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And I'm like, is it like to do with wood and a house? Yes, I do it, you know? So, you know, door installs, kitchens, bathrooms. I hooked up with a cabinet company at one point and I was doing their installs for them, do a lot of decks. I actually have a builder in Derry that they're building a development. I do all the decks in the development. So I'm kind of like bouncing around to different things and just kind of trying to, for the last 2 years, really just trying to figure out, okay, like what's profitable? How can I make this work, right? Like what's going to work out? And for a long time, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to be the deck guy. You know, I don't want to just do decks. I want to do really nice kitchens and you know, I want to do you know, historical work. I want to do there's just all these different avenues I want to try to, you know, investigate. But I found that at this point, you know, it just being me, you know, decks are very profitable. Yep. I know how to quote them, and I figured, you know,
and you can be efficient at it because
I can be efficient at it because I do multiple, and I'm very quick at it, and I do a good job, right? Really, when I was asked to do the decks in that development, I went and I checked out some of the first houses that were done, and they weren't that nice.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, okay, I can do this. And I was like, so I asked them, and I was like, what are you paying these guys to do these decks? And they kind of gave me a number that they wanted me to be within. And when they first gave me the number, I was like, I don't think I can make any money on that, but I'll give it a shot. Right. So I get in to do this first deck, and it takes me, I don't know, like it's 2 decks. So it's a front porch and a back deck on each house, all different sizes. But, it took me like a week and a half the first time, one house.
Yep.
And then as I progressed through this development, I started to get really fast in some ways and started to figure out, okay, I can do, in me just growing up, I always dealt with confidence, imposter syndrome. It's like, I didn't think, the first couple houses, I'm like, this is just stupid. I'm not going to make any money doing this. And then after, 10, 12 decks, I'm like, holy shit, dude, I am so fast.
Yeah.
Up until even yesterday, I was doing one of these decks,
Yep.
and I trimmed and decked a 12 by 24 in one day by myself.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, I would, a year and a half ago, I would say, no way, not possible. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm kicking ass on them, so I'm just like, what? I still don't want to be the deck guy.
Yeah.
But I figure that, it's profitable. And if I can take on as many decks as I can for the short term, even if that short term is a year, 2 years, I can get probably a pretty good nest egg, something that I can rely on. So I'm not so stressed about the finances. And then I can start to kind of delve into different avenues.
Yeah.
Then I can kind of go to some of the more passion projects.
Yeah, I think that a good way to look at this too, and just take this in for what it is that anytime you can streamline a process like that, and doing decks, that's a great place to bring somebody on and to train, because like you don't want to give up the decks, right? Because they're making you money and you're efficient at them, and you know them, and it's it's something that you can streamline.
Right.
If you can bring somebody on and train them the same way that you're doing it to build decks, then you have somebody to do the decks. Though that money's still coming in, obviously you're not making as much because you're paying somebody else to do it, but you're still making a little bit of money off of it. And then once that's streamlined and that person is efficient at doing the decks themselves, you can jump out and start looking at those other avenues. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a good way to do it, especially with like decks or doing doors and windows or anything like that. I think it's a good opportunity to bring in like your first employee, to bring in your first person, because you can build the processes. I used to always say, like when you worked for me, we were building custom furniture, we were doing restorations, we were doing all these different things because I just wanted to take as much work as I could to make as much money as I could, And then I got into kitchens, and I realized that, man, like kitchens, it takes skill, right?
Yeah.
But there's a process to doing a kitchen. If I can build standard operating procedures for installing a kitchen, then I can take that information, copy and paste it, and give it to somebody else.
Right.
And that's kind of how it started with the cabinet side of things, because I was so against hanging cabinets for most of my career.
Yeah.
I was like, I can build fucking cabinets, I can finish cabinet, like I can do this myself. I'm not going to hang other people's cabinets.
Right.
But then I realized, like, well, this is kind of easy.
It's kind of like this there's like a dirty word in like the word like installer.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a fucking craftsman. What do you mean? I'm gonna be an installer?
Yeah.
But no, you can't think about it like that.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that, I was able to take that process, build the operating procedures, and then give it to somebody else to do the installs while I opened up the cabinet shop.
Right.
So I think that those things and finding that little niche is good, even if it's not something that you want to do long term.
Right.
It's a good revenue generator, it's a good profit maker, and then it's just a good process to be able to copy and paste and give to somebody else to have them doing that.
Right, exactly. And I was in the same boat first couple of years. I was taking whatever came through the door, and I still kind of am open to, it's like everybody that reaches out, I want to hear about the project. I want to, okay, that sounds cool. Maybe I'll be interested in doing it. But if I can be so profitable on these decks and I can put money away on each one or invest in equipment that I've needed and I've been putting off buying, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I got to do this for the company, right? And it's like, you make these little sacrifices, because if I would have, like you said with the cabinets, you get in, you come up with a standard, okay, this is how I do this, and you just like put in your headphones and you go and you get it done, right? And that is amazing. And through doing those cabinet installs and through doing the decks in the beginning, the cabinet installs, I didn't really make great money. The decks, I started to make a little bit better money, over the past few months. And, but it's not about that kind of in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's hard to feel that way.
Yeah.
It's hard to let yourself understand that, okay, we're working towards something, especially, man, I just, I mentioned it before, but I just did not have any confidence when I was a kid up until, I'm 29 now. And I'd say up until 25, there was not even an inkling of confidence. It was just, I did not believe that I could be successful, but I knew that I was going to take the step anyway.
Yeah.
And until, it's like every couple of months, I look back and I go, wow, man, I've really done
it.
I've done some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I've made some things happen, and some things I can be proud of. And what I've been doing for the past, since I started at NS Builders, the first day I started at NS Builders, I started that was the Boston company.
Oh, name drop.
Yeah. The first day I started there, I started like an audio journal, right? So it's like now I can go back to, it's like, how old was I? Maybe 22 or 23. And I can go back to 23-year-old Cooper and hear him talk about what the hell am I going to do with my life? What direction am I going? And just, it's amazing to be like, wow.
Yeah.
Listen to that guy.
I love that.
And every once in a while I go back and I'll find something and listen to it and go, oh my God, you've figured some of these things out.
You did it, man.
So keep going in that direction.
Well, and that's a confidence builder in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's amazing, man.
I remember when I had American Pride, I, read all these books about, operating a business and all these things. And I came across this thing about writing down your goals. So you have short-term goals, which are like within a month. You have mid-term goals, which is like within the year. Mm-hmm. Then you have long-term goals that are like within 3 years. And then you have like projected 10 years.
Yeah.
And I found so much fucking value in just writing all of that stuff down. And then I would forget about it, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd be like working, doing my thing. And I'd be like, oh shit, I want to go back through that. And then I'd be like, dude, there's nothing more gratifying than crossing that shit out.
Right.
And fucking did that.
Because you do forget about it. It does go away. It's like you can almost put it in a drawer and you just, eventually you find it and you're like, wow, I did that.
I did.
Yeah. And
cool.
It's like you're staying on the path without even, it's kind of just, you're taking those little steps and that's keeping you on the path and you don't even realize you're on the path.
Yeah, and those little steps, they just add up. And
man.
When you're in the thick of it and you get your nose to the grindstone, you don't realize it.
No.
And then you go back and you listen to an audio journal like that or my list and you're like, oh shit, I've been doing some shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
When I first started in Boston, I remember it's funny. I was in the interview and I was like, I don't really want to be a lead. And I was a lead for the last company, but I think that I want to, show a little humility here. I want to work with somebody who I can kind of lean on as a mentor, and I want to learn, and eventually I'd like to be a lead. And he goes, "No, you're good. You can do it." I was just like, "Oh man, okay."
All right,
and then but it was horrible. It was horrible. I knew it was gonna be horrible, and it was horrible. And I didn't have. I was like, dude, I was commuting in my wife's old 99 Toyota Corolla. I felt like a total asshole, and I was just like, this sucks, man. This sucks. And I wasn't fast. I knew I wasn't fast, and that's why I was like, I need some reps.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I wanted, but I didn't get that until much later. But eventually I ended up stepping back into that role of, okay, now there's a lead, and I want to kind of take responsibility for, my project, my job right here that's right in front of my face. That's what I want to do, and I want to try to perfect that.
Instead of trying to get other people
trying
doing
to get other people to do the thing. Exactly. And I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome working in the city. It was awesome seeing these projects. It was awesome seeing what was possible. But then coming back to, I remember my first job on my own was a pressure treated deck, 12 by 12 pressure treated deck. And I was like, man, I kind of feel like I left art school and now I'm finger painting for a living. You know, it's like, oh, what am I doing? But I've been able to correct the way I think about that, right? And it's now, instead of feeling that way, I go, okay, doesn't matter what the product is. You're just going to do the best job you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to be efficient, but you're not going to be efficient for efficiency's sake.
Yep.
You know, and I've been able to build some really nice stuff, whether you get the material from Home Depot or whether you get it from, Sierra Lumber or wherever, it's the same thing every time.
Yeah.
You don't go in and go, this is shit, so I'm going to do a shit job installing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's because they feel like they're above that. They're above, I'm not going to install this from Home Depot. Well, you know what? It's like, yeah, maybe it is shit. Maybe the doors aren't going to like hold up long term, but there are some install that maybe you shouldn't cut corners on the install, and then maybe it will last.
Right.
As long as these people need it to last.
Yeah.
Not that I love that either, the disposable world we live in, but that is kind of what it is. So you kind of have to work within that, especially when you're starting out.
I feel like at the end of the day, like, you're not the person buying the cabinets. The customer is buying the cabinets based off of their budget, their income. Mm-hmm. And to them, regardless if it's Home Depot or full custom, like, that's new to them. It's a new kitchen. Like, it's something that they are going to take pride in. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we have 3 lines of cabinets. We have an entry level and we have a customizable line, right? Like a premium line. And, we have one in the middle too. But, the people that get the entry level, like, regardless, it's still a new kitchen to them. These are new this is probably the first time they've ever done a kitchen renovation. It's probably the first time they've done a big project in their house like this. Mm-hmm. Like, I've always tried to treat all of those the same, kind of like you were saying. Like, I know that I can take a shit product and make it look pretty fucking good.
Right.
Because I take pride in what I'm walking away from, regardless of the materials that are used. But, I guess at the same time, like, we did a project up in Dover and, we had to do 4 units a day, 4 kitchens a day, and 4 kitchens and 8 baths a day in order to make money. Mm-hmm. And we would do it. But it had to be fast. But, we're, you're also talking Section 8, like, these people do not care about their product. They do not care about these cabinets. So it was really hard to really, and the contractors were all garbage. Like, it was just a shit project.
But you can dial it back in a way that isn't, I guess, sacrificing your integrity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. Like, if I had a guy that was there, cutting holes for plumbing, like, you're not going to just cut a big fucking square out of the cabinet. Mm-hmm. You're going to fucking take your measurements. You're going to cut the right size hole for the fucking plumbing. Yeah. And you're going to make that look good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. There's shit cabinets in a shit fucking apartment, but the quality of our work, my name is on that. Yeah, like, so exactly. I'm not going to fucking just hack this stuff because we're using cheap shit in a cheap place.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's just multiple ways of looking at it. But that's also the difference between somebody who is passionate about what they do and takes pride in what they do, and somebody that doesn't. That's just doing it to make money or whatever it is. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I took on that job knowing that there was 300 units that we had to do.
Wow.
Knowing that it was Section 8, knowing that it was cheap cabinets. But I knew I wasn't going to fucking walk away and be unhappy or unsatisfied with the product that we put in, that we did,
Yeah, you want to walk away and know that it's going to hold up.
Yeah.
It's like, again, like I said, maybe the hinges don't hold up. Maybe, but it's like, whatever is on you, do the best you can.
Yeah.
Make it last as long as it can last.
Yeah.
And
if you fucking don't come in the trades.
Yeah.
That's the, you know what I mean?
Why would you?
Why would you?
Why would you?
If you're going to be a hack, go be a hack somewhere else. Go fucking make candy bars. Like, do something stupid.
Yeah.
Stay the fuck out of the trades.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I'm going to get a little fired up about this, but that's the thing that pisses me off about like some of these contractors and some of these guys that are doing this work. Like, just fucking take some pride in what you're doing. Right. That's all it takes. Yeah. And if you did that, you would be happier. Like, literally, you would be happier about it. Right. Even if you're working in shit jobs with shit product, if you were taking a little bit of pride in the work that you were producing, you would be a happier fucking human.
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
Sorry, a little fired up.
No, I like it. I'm into it. It's a difficult kind of world to navigate in it, right? But one thing I really, it's funny, on my Instagram bio, it says, the pursuit of, I'm going to fuck it up. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But it's the pursuit of excellence and sustainability, I think, and sustainability in a sense that, I worry about the products we're using, especially exterior. I worry about vinyl siding. I worry about the PVC. I worry about, all the dust that's getting blown everywhere and into the worlds and into our lungs and into everything, right? It's like, I do think that we should be trying as a society to be heading down a more natural, healthy approach in our buildings. But that's the thing. It's a pursuit. I'm one person. I cannot beat myself up because I'm building a bunch of composite decks with PVC. Right. Also, people just don't have the ability or they don't care to maintain their houses.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They're busy. They're thinking about other things, and they don't want to, spend their whole weekend stripping paint. And I get that. I understand it. It's like I am so passionate. I love stripping paint. I love sanding. I love, I like knowing that I'm doing a good job. I like being able to get in that Zen mode and just flow and just work.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's great. But when I was younger, I definitely didn't always feel that way. Right. It was really, I had FOMO. I was always worried about what my friends were doing. I was always worried about what other people were doing. I still do to some extent, but I've managed to, get up and out of that. But you can't forget the perspective that you had at that time, because then you won't understand anybody when they haven't grown from that spot yet.
Yeah, or you won't understand yourself and why you're pursuing this particular purpose.
Right, exactly. And everybody, works on it. It's like so my wife owns a business too. When I was telling you earlier, she owns
shout out to the plant shop in Derry.
The plant shop.
I love that spot.
And it's wonderful. She does such a good job, and she's established herself in the industry, and she's the shit. But sometimes, because we have young children, sometimes we got to let something slide over there. Sometimes we got to let something slide on my company because we're trying to help each other, right? And toe that line that's like, okay, we obviously want to be able to spend 100 hours a week on both of our businesses, but it's just not possible because number one is being good parents. Actually, number one is not being good parents. Number one is being a good husband. Number one is being a good wife. Number one is being a good spouse. Because when you're a good husband, your wife is happy. When you're a good wife, your husband is happy. When you're both happy, your kids are happy. All true. Equally as important. Yeah. But let's put the hierarchy of needs, like put it on that relationship, because that's where it really needs to be, because your kids want to see you happy, right? So
they don't want to see dad and mom running around all miserable all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
My kids will tell you.
No, and we don't always achieve that. We don't always achieve that. But people ask us all the time, "Oh, how is your relationship so good?" And I'm like, "Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's tough."
Yeah, we're not exactly posting the arguments and fights and bad days on Instagram.
It's like, all right, guys, me and Rachel sit down at this table and go, all right, I think we should spend our money on a log cabin and a fishing boat. She thinks we should buy plants. What do you guys think? It's like, we have disagreements just like anybody else, but we're hardworking people who care deeply about, each other, but we just care about, I don't know, doing a good job, being good people. And so, it helps in those ebbs and flow moments where it's down and we feel like we're down and out and we're tired and we're exhausted and we're frustrated. It helps when that, we can, be there to support each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that balance is tough, man. And not a lot of people are able to do it. And I think that more so, people don't recognize how much work that is and how much sacrifice it takes.
Yeah, it's sacrifice.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're sacrificing your goals, your dreams, your vision for your company to help her reach her goals. And her, in her vision, you know. So it's just, I imagine that it can't be an easy balance to hold.
It's not. But some things, some sacrifices I make are not necessarily full sacrifices, right? Like I work at the shop almost every Sunday.
Yep.
But also I'm able to do some invoicing. I'm able to send some stuff out. I mean, sometimes it's busy on a Sunday. I don't get much done. But is it really less exhausting to hang out in a beautiful plant shop and talk to locals in your town, people that are excited to be, people walk into that shop and they go, and that's my favorite thing about working there.
Yeah.
Watching people walk through the doors and whatever they're dealing with and the bullshit, it just like
melts.
Goes away.
Yeah, man.
They're gonna walk around.
I got to say that I felt that when we went in.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I built a little meditation room in the house.
Cool.
And I did like an accent wall and hickory, and we did like a sage green paint and white trim, and I put a little steam sauna in there. That's awesome. And and I was like, I want fucking plants in here. Like, I want this to
feels
be fucking
good.
Yeah, dude. And I get the same feeling when I walk into that room. You know, it's like the plants and the green. And what's funny is that in high school, my short stint in high school, I didn't last long in high school, but freshman year, anytime I would get in trouble in class, I used to have to go down to the regain class. And the regain class was, full of my friends, all the fucking black sheep and people that weren't doing and making the right decisions. And they used to stick me in this little fucking green room. And all the walls in the room were green because green was supposed to be like calming. And it used to piss me off. Right. It'd be like, wait, this isn't fucking calming me down at all.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, now that I'm not such an idiot, I'm like, man, that like having the plants and like that green color and like, it's amazing what it does. I go home just about every single day, and I have a little hammock chair that I got. This dude makes them up in Vermont by hand. He only sells like 15 or 20 a year.
Wow.
But it's fucking dope as shit.
Awesome.
And it's got like it's like a fucking wood egg-shaped frame with like, fucking string or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And it's got like this little ottoman that tucks under it, and you can bring it out, and it hangs from the ceiling.
Nice.
And I go in and I sit in my fucking chair, and I just chill. Like sometimes I'll light an incense, or like we have these little like steam things that smell with the oils. I don't know what any of this stuff is called. I just like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I go in there, man, and like 10, 15 minutes, like it's just the same feeling that you're talking about. It just fucking melts away for a little bit. You know?
Yeah. And you definitely, especially as a business owner, especially as a parent, you definitely need those outlets.
Yeah.
You need to find whatever it is for you. And you being in that green room getting pissed, it's like, well, if you're not receptive, if you don't believe it's going to work, it's not going to work.
Right.
Right. So it's like, I'm a big advocate for therapy. I have done a lot of therapy. The first time I went there, I was 12 years old. My mom lied to me, brought me there. I was not receptive to therapy at 12 years old, but I was miserable. I was very, very sad, very deeply depressed. Very anxious, in hindsight, looking back even as early as 6, 7 years old, like just horribly anxious all the time and not even realizing that I thought because this was just baseline. So this was just life. Right. But getting kind of forced into going there, realizing that, this is actually something I really need at that young age, was really one of the best things. One of the best things my mother could have ever done for me.
Yeah.
Right. Because she had a lot going on. Right.
Yeah.
She was busy. She was stressed.
Yeah.
And she couldn't help me. She didn't know how.
Right.
Right. So, ever since then, after that, I went for a little while and then I took a long break. But when I was older and I was able to kind of make some of my own decisions, I decided, I got to go back there because I remembered how I felt. And, I've been going on and off ever since, right? Yep. And if it wasn't so goddamn expensive, I would probably go every day.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to unpack some stuff.
It is.
Talk to somebody. What I like about therapy is that you're talking to somebody about, obviously issues or whatever it is, and they help you to understand, I guess, what's normal and what's not normal.
Yeah.
Because like you only know what you know is what you know.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and they help you to understand like what you don't know.
Right.
And it's I think it's important too. And I went through a little stint of therapy myself.
I think that the biggest thing I learned, like my last time going, I had an amazing therapist in Londonderry, and she kind of helped me to realize that I was making assumptions all the time. And that was my anxious brain, right?
Sure.
Making assumptions, going, specifically with people I loved, right? Even with my kids, like my wife, it's like they could all hurt my feelings very, very easily and send me into this like tailspin where, okay, now I'm a dick, and now it's like, okay. And then this goes on for a week. Oh, it goes on for 2 weeks. And then it's just like, it kind of snowballs into this, like everybody's grumpy, right? And why? All because of, you could probably bring it back to one moment where something was done. I made an assumption about why it was done, and then that was it. That was the end of it. And I was like, well, they obviously don't care about me or respect me, and this is bullshit, and I'm justified because I'm right, But no, you're not right, right? Most of the time, you're not right.
Most of the time.
Okay. So questioning that, your assumptions is really the best advice I ever got,
I love that.
Taking a second when you start to feel that, like, oh, what? Oh. And you're just like, wait a minute. What am I guessing at right now?
What's real and what am I making up?
Yeah, exactly. So, just focusing on that. That's really been like for the last probably 2 years of my life, I've just been really trying to, and you fall in and out of good practice, but it's
why
so
it's practice.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. I had a therapist in high school too. Hans. Yeah, he was like this German dude. And same thing, like I didn't fucking want to be there. I had to go. Like when I was on juvenile probation, my PO was like, yeah, you got to go talk to Hans like twice a week. And I was like, all right. So like, I'd go down there and shit and like talk to him. But like, again, like you said, I didn't buy into it. I just did it because to keep my PO off my back. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So he didn't really I didn't get much out of it. He didn't get much out of me. And then later in life, same thing, like tail spinning, kind of making poor decisions and choices. And I'm like, man, I got to unload some of this shit. Like, you know, and it worked out pretty good. I'm glad that I did it.
Making that decision to go is really just, it could be the difference between you having a good life and you having a bad life.
Yeah.
You know?
You actually make me think that I want to maybe make another fucking appointment.
Well, I'm going to keep making appointments with you because this is pretty close to.
This is therapy.
Yeah, this is good too.
Yeah, I'm not a good therapist. Don't come to me for advice, bro. We'd both go off the rails.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's take it back to business, man.
Sure.
So what's up with? 2 years in now. Where do you want to? Where do you see this thing going, man? Where do you see yourself in the next 1, 3, 5 years?
So I've been thinking a lot about this, thinking about, okay, what am I going to do? Because realistically, I have a good friend who's just super intelligent, right? And I've met with him. He's like a trained accountant, right? And he's helped me a lot with business and just talking about, hey, let's look at the big picture. Do you need to? He basically told me, what's your scope? What do you take in for work? And I was like, everything. He's like, it needs to not be that way, So you got to figure out what your scope is and then stay within that scope. So, and that was like probably a year and a half ago. So now I've decided, okay, decks are profitable. I'm going to do as many decks as I can. And like I said, I'm going to keep my ear out for some other things. I like doing kitchens. But I'm just going to make sure that I'm running a profitable company, right? Trying to put that money away. And I have some financial goals. I want to hit those financial goals and just be financially stable before I start trying to do all these other extravagant things that I want to do.
Yeah.
So for the next year, I'm really just focused on, it's like I have a little bit of debt. I don't want to talk about how much money I've spent on my dog in the past 3 years, but yeah, we have a little bit of debt. It's like, less than 10 grand, but just, making a plan, let's get out of that debt. And then from there, let's start putting a lot of money away, as much money away as we can. I want to buy a house. I want a home for my family.
Yeah.
I want a yard, so I'm just really focusing in on
a timber framed greenhouse.
In a timber framed greenhouse. And, I think I'm going to be happy doing that for a while, for a while. I'm just going to be, if I can, sell a kitchen, I would do kitchen installs for the same reason I'd do decks.
Well, you could do kitchens in the colder weather and then do
Exactly.
decks once it starts getting nice out. I know a lot of guys that do that.
Exactly. And I've done decks in the winter too, and it's not bad. And I kind of like that, like, you kind of get out there and suffer. It's kind of good for your head sometimes,
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. And, if you dress, appropriately, it's really not that bad.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I've booked a ton of decks into the winter. I'm probably booked up till at least November, probably mid-November at this point. And then mid-November, I will kind of transition and do some interior stuff. I'm turning somebody's spare bedroom into a laundry room, doing some stuff like that. I have, some interior built-ins and stuff like that. Just, anybody that reaches out with interior work, I'm just saying, hey, sounds like a great job for the winter. I'm tied up until, mid-November. Let's talk in a little bit. So yeah, just trying to take those jobs that are simple and profitable and, go from there. Once I, pay off this debt, once I hit that financial goal, then we can go from there. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself because, to be completely honest, for the last couple of years, I have been getting ahead of myself.
It's easy to do
Because I want to be at a certain point so bad.
Yeah. That and you're afraid of like not having work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different when you're punching a clock 9 to 5. Like the work's there every day.
Right.
Punch out, you go home, punch in, you get work. When you're working for yourself, man, like shit stops coming in and you have family to feed. Like it's scary.
I've been pretty fortunate, especially with, in the trades, man. Like there's nobody doing it.
Yeah.
I know like 2 other carpenters maybe, and most of them are, one of my best friends, he lives in Rhode Island now. He's a carpenter, great millwork guy. And then I don't know, I couldn't even name another, like just a couple of random people that I know that are like got into it in their 30s. And then I don't know anyone that could be like a successful journeyman. I'm sure they're out there. But right now I just need to focus on putting my head down and doing these decks, doing these kitchens, and just kind of keep rolling with that. So I'd say that's probably the next year. Next year I'm going to do that. I'm going to help my wife when she needs it, and hopefully be, mostly hands off with that. But just, give her support and try to just get to a point where I feel like financially we're set up. We can start investing in our future, building some assets, really just being strategic and intelligent. It's like it's so easy to just let that slide because you're tired. And, it's the same thing. It's like, you go home, you don't want to cook dinner, you don't cook dinner, you spend, $80 on takeout. It's like, how many times can you do that to where you look back at your statements for the month and you're like, what did we do?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do that, especially with, we have, my daughter just started 2nd grade. My son is about to turn 1 tomorrow. And,
happy birthday, little man.
Happy birthday, Wesley. And, it's just so amazing. But honestly, I definitely get stressed, but I'm genuinely happier than I've ever been.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's
And it's a good stress. It's like, well, I'm building something for my future. Maybe our kids might want to work for me, might want to work for Rachel. Like that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's the world that I want to live in.
Both my boys working for me, man.
It's amazing. So cool.
I love it.
But yeah, longer term goals. I'd like to do like transition at some point once I'm in that financially stable zone. I was able to do a really nice kitchen this year.
Yeah.
It was in Atkinson on Big Island Pond. New construction house, all inset cabinetry, crown molding to the ceiling. I installed it's a faux beam, but 200-year-old hickory beam up on to the ceiling makes it's pretty nice. And then fridge cabinet up to that, crown molding scribed into the hickory beam. Just badass, really cool. Haven't posted a ton of pictures about it yet because I don't think I'm ready for that kind of influx. But at this point in time, not that it'll be like crazy, like I can't handle all the leads, but I mean, I'm not ready to go that route. So I don't want to push it, but I'm keeping that in my back pocket that when I reach this first, year of goals, then okay, now I'm ready. I'm going to get this photographed, and I'm going to push this. I'm build a nice website and just try to kind of level up in professionalism.
Yeah. So no website now?
No website.
No website. And then you said you're not big on social media. You don't use it a ton, but you are on Instagram.
I am on Instagram and I do use it from time to time. But
Yeah.
when I was doing it consistently, I was getting overwhelmed,
Yeah.
because
Dude,
I'm just one guy.
And it's a full-time job in itself, man.
It's a full-time job in itself. And I'm just one guy,
Yeah.
So it's like, really, what is overwhelmed for me? I could get 4 calls
Yeah.
and I'm overwhelmed
Yeah.
because I can only do one thing at a time, So,
Yeah.
just, as I go, trying to build some connections. I started using this demo guy, reads demo and cleanouts. He's awesome. And he's a great dude. And just trying to build that sub pool, trying to find a good plumber, good electrician to just, just meet people that when I'm slowly trying to get ready for that transition.
Yeah.
Right. But right now it's decks, it's installs, it's, staircases, it's whatever comes my way to an extent, as long as it's can be in some way production.
Yeah.
Right. Profitable.
Yeah. If you ever need resources as far as trades go, or really any industry, man, just let me know. I'll make a couple introductions. Like I know a ton of guys in a bunch of different trades.
Cool.
But not just trades, like every industry. Like you talk about websites. I know multiple people that build websites. I know people that do social media marketing, like everything, all that stuff. So if you ever need just referral, even if you just want a connection, like I'll just make the connection.
Awesome.
It's part of what I do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
I have turned into that guy.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Hey
That's
Frank,
great.
you know a person that does this? Yeah, I know that person.
Well, that's
So,
good. That's good.
But yeah, man, obviously this is why we do the podcast. Like I want to help as many people grow as possible. And again, I'm not the one that has all the answers. I'm not the person that knows everything and does everything, but I know a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
And I have a huge network of people that want to see me succeed, and they want to see the people that I want to see succeed.
Yeah.
And I've known you for a long time, and I fucking, we worked together for a while, and you're still, I think, one of my favorite employees.
Thank you.
We had a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun.
We
It
got
was
shit
great.
done.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So yeah, if anything I can do as far as making connections or anything like that, just fucking ask.
Hell yeah. Will do.
So, all right. So you got that thing going. You want to kind of do that. What about making your first hire? When are you thinking about doing that?
I think I am really enjoying boosting my own productivity on site at the moment.
Yeah.
I wanted to hire for a while. I was thinking about it for a while, going, I need somebody, and I do want to get to that step. But I think I'm capable at the pace I'm kind of at right now to hit my goals as far as getting out of that debt, as far as saving what I need, and getting into a situation where I feel I can hire somebody and I'm not putting them at risk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the main goal is to, not put my family at risk, right? It's like, I want that nest egg to lean on. I'd love to be able to just be like, oh yeah, there's money in the account that's for, if we do run into a situation that's not particularly ideal, I have 6 months or a year, tucked away where, okay, no problem. It's like, oh, we got a slow month. No problem. We're going to hit it hard, because right now, if I don't have work and I don't have like, if I don't have work, I'm sweating, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think a couple weeks ago now, I spent a whole week running around talking to people, setting up jobs, all this stuff, but I didn't have any, I didn't have money coming in, right? Yeah. And I didn't really have a lot of money to keep things afloat. I do keep it afloat, right? It's like I have a tax account. I put all my taxes away. There's always that money there, right? But that doesn't belong to me,
right?
You know what I mean? And so I'm a step ahead there, right? Where I've never had to worry about taxes, and I actually put away far more taxes than I need to, so I kind of still get that tax return, right? So I pay the taxes, leftovers profit. I've already paid taxes on it, right? So that's just money I can take, invest into the company or whatever I need to do.
That's smart.
So that is really one thing I'd recommend to anybody coming out. I know we're not there yet, but
Yeah, no, it's we had Tor Larson on, who's on Signs East. He does like a ton of signs and shit, and he talked a lot about that. That was his toolbox tip about fucking taxes.
Okay.
And he actually gave me a recommendation on a book called Tax Free Wealth.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, I've read it.
So his accountant, what the hell's his name? Kamasaki or something like that.
Yeah.
The guy that wrote it, but it's his accountant that writes this book about tax-free wealth.
Gotcha.
Dude's a savage.
Okay.
And talks a lot about like, paying what you have to pay, but not paying more than you need to.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, the name of the book is Tax-Free Wealth. He talks about not paying taxes at all and how he does it legally, but it's pretty cool. It's definitely a good read if you ever wanted to read it.
Definitely.
I have it on audio. I'm like halfway through my second time reading it.
Okay.
Just because like there's so much information and it's like,
oh, it's so dense.
Yeah, it's dense.
Yeah.
But it's cool the way that he writes it because he makes it real life, so it's not just like, oh, do A, B, C, D, and E. He talks about like, oh, this is what I did and this is how I learned to do it and this is why I did it. And, he gives like real life stories about like doing it and people that he's done it for. And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool book. That's good, man. I guess my only rebuttal to that, and we talked about this a little bit at lunch, is that employees come on to make you more money.
Yes.
So it's, you think about that day, right, that you were running around bidding jobs and networking and doing all that stuff. You're not getting paid for that day.
Gotcha.
But if you had somebody that was building decks for you, then the company is still making money while you're doing that stuff. And like, I think that it's smart to be like, all right, I want to pay off this debt, get to this point, and then I'm going to hire somebody. But the problem with doing that, I think sometimes, is that you never get to that fucking point.
And you can get to that point with an employee if you make the right hire.
Yeah, you can get to it faster, right? So it's like, when is the right time? Sometimes, like my buddy Eric always says, like, now is the right time.
Now is the right time.
There is never a right time.
Right.
Now is the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is probably the extreme, the other side of the extreme, right? Because of course he's got a ton of money.
He's
and
extreme.
He's been able to build all this wealth, but like
it is pretty amazing. I am rooting for him,
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, that's cool. A whole different world, man. I love that dude. He what he's been able to do and the way he's been able to do it, and for me, like I'm blessed enough that like he's one of my closest friends, and like I've been able to see it since the beginning, and like I've seen how hard he works, and I see how hard he works.
Right.
I go down to Miami with him every couple of months and spend a couple of days, and it's just a couple of days in his life. You know what I mean? And like, dude, 24/7 still at this point. And he's multi-millionaire, has made a ton of money, but still 24/7 he is fucking nose to the grindstone. Like he does not stop, and he hasn't for fucking 15 years.
Right.
It's just crazy to see. And, same thing. I root for him and still his biggest fucking fan.
But that's also like what you value, It's like I had to do a lot of thinking and still constantly do the thinking. Like I said, I keep the video journal. I sit on my porch pretty much every night and just like ponder life, think about everything. That's my meditation room. It's like I built a 2-level deck at our house that we rent at, but I was the contractor that built it, so it was this like 2nd-level balcony that I get to spend time on now, and that's really like the first project I built I got to spend any time in.
That's awesome.
So it's like now I get to go out there and kind of just think and kind of reflect, and I'll record a journal if I want to, or just like sit and just whatever, zone out. But
people undervalue the value in that. And like taking a break and just, sometimes I'll be sitting in my office and the girls will come in and I'm literally just fucking staring at the wall. Like, what are you doing? You're not working? Yeah. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is work.
This is important.
This is important.
It is. It is important.
You have to get your head wrapped around things and, strategize and think and like, but it's the other side too, is like, it can't be a negative fucking thing, because it's easy to get into that too and beat yourself up about all the shit that you're not doing. And like, I'm trying to find that balance. I feel like for me, like at night when I'm trying to go to sleep, or really in the morning when I first wake up, that's when I'm the hardest on myself.
Right.
Like that's when I think about all the bullshit, all the stupid things, all the mistakes, all the stuff. Like that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I have to get out of bed, or like I'm gonna stay in this negative fucking cycle. So like, my girlfriend gives me shit all the time. Some mornings I'm up at 3:30. Some mornings I'm up at 5. Like, I don't set an alarm anymore. I don't need to.
Right.
Like I wake up and once my mind starts going and it starts getting negative, I'm like, all right, time for fucking coffee.
Yeah.
You know, I get up and drink my coffee. I read one of my business books or like watch a couple of podcast clips or like to get back in that like positive, like, all right, one foot in front of the other, man. Let's go. You know?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good in the morning, I think. I have trouble getting out of bed lately.
Do you?
Well, one, I have a 1-year-old, you know, so it's been tough, man. And, you know, I have to get up with him in the middle of the night because, you know, if Rachel goes in there, it's impossible. He's not going to calm down unless he's nursing, and we're not going to, you know, do that. You know, he's not going to nurse in the middle of the night. That's not, you gotta go to bed. So it's like, you know, but again, also it's like, yeah, I'm tired, but also I've had amazing moments where it's 2 a.m. and I'm sitting in the rocking chair with my son. I'm like, this is so cool.
This is life. This is what life is about, man. Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, I'm tired. And honestly, like, my father-in-law is very successful. So to see him and how much discipline he has and how he kind of goes through life and kind of compare yourself to him. And, you know, it's like you can really beat yourself up like pretty quickly. But you got to avoid that as much as possible, I'd say.
Yeah, but the thing is with him is like you didn't see the beginning and the startup and the struggle. And
exactly.
Like, you didn't see he went through the same fucking thing.
Right.
You know, thinking he probably had somebody he was looking at being like, oh shit, I wish I was more like that guy.
Right.
You know, everybody has that shit.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's fuel. It can be negative fuel, but you know, only if you let it. You know, it's a fucking mind state on how you think it. You know, like being around my buddy Eric and all of his friends, you know, that's a whole different fucking world. Like you go down to Miami and there's, you know, every car in the parking lot's worth more than fucking, you know, I make in a fucking month.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and there's 9 of them, you know, and there's a $30 million mansion on the ocean and there's yachts and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I try not to go into it with like, you know, a negative outlook at it. Like, I'm not envious. I'm not jealous. I'm not, you know, that's just, those things aren't in me. You know, what I see, I admire that shit, man. Like you know, you guys fucking worked hard for that stuff. And when I go down there and I spend time around them, I try not to size myself up too much against them. Hard to do for anybody, but I look at it more like, you know, this is fuel, man. Like all of these people have done it. I can do it too. And usually when I go down there, you know, everybody thinks like, oh, it's a vacation. You're down running around in the yachts and the fucking Ferraris and all this stuff. But dude, I come back and I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
Like I just want to like get at it. I'm like, I get to learn all this stuff. I meet all these cool people that are doing all this cool shit. And I just want to be a cool person doing cool shit.
Yeah,
you
man.
know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
That's cool. Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that as far as business goes, what do you think are some of like the, I guess, major pain points for you? Anything that we haven't touched on yet, I guess.
Major pain points. I guess it is, it's over providing definitely is, you know, it's like,
how so? What do you mean?
Like when you go in, like, especially with some of the production stuff, because you go in, sometimes, you know, you can throw out a number at it, but a lot of the times these prices are kind of, hey, this is what we get for it. This is what we need you to do it for kind of thing. Right. So it's just like, okay.
Especially new construction.
So same thing. Exactly. And same thing with like, you know, you went into doing all those Section 8 houses, you were doing a ton of cabinets, you know, and you go in and you're scribing everything to the floor, you're scribing everything to the wall. You're trying to make it perfect, right? Because that's, you know, who you are, and that's what you like to do. But then at the end of the day, you made $200 a day and you're like, what the hell did I do that for? You know? So it's just like, you know, maybe it's a matter of, okay, like I take these jobs now, and I just, you know, you do a good job, but you're not necessarily, you know, it's like, I'm not working in this $10,000 a square foot remodel that I was in Boston. You know, it's like a different kind of world. So I guess in that sense, a lot of the cabinet installs that is like base level cabinetry, you know, spending all this, the boxes are not square.
Right.
So you're like, you can spend forever fussing about it, or you can get it to that happy medium that's really good, and you can go, okay, this is going to be good. Yeah. You know?
It's hard to do when you take pride in it, though, you know?
It's hard to do when you take pride, but you kind of figure out little hacks to be able to go the extra mile more efficiently.
Yep.
But also you got to understand you're not building these like $1 million, kitchens, right? Or whatever. But another pinch point would be probably not hiring somebody. It's tough, man. It's like, I'm on site. People are texting me, calling me, this week in particular, I think I got like 5 different calls, 5 different, a bunch of texts from people, just trying to, figure out details or, oh, hey, when do you think you can do this? A lot of people, and I'm sure you understand this, call me and I'm like, oh, when do you want to do it? And they're like, 2 weeks from now. I'm like, well, not possible.
Yeah.
Busy. But again, that hurts because then sometimes you lose that job.
Yep.
Because some people can do it 2 weeks from now. Yep. But that is where I guess just, when you go into that initial meeting, you're kind of figuring, or even the initial phone call, it's like you just need to present yourself like you're the guy they want to work with, like you're the guy that they can be comfortable with. And that's where it is, especially with remodeling, man.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Trying to run a business with a tool belt on is so damn difficult.
Yeah.
Like when I was installing, because at one time I still had the woodworking business.
Yep.
And I was running the installs. I had Seacoast Cabinet, who was, designing and selling the cabinets, and I had a cleaning company. Because the idea was sell the cabinets and countertops, install the cabinets and countertops, offer post-construction cleaning, and it was like, and I was the guy that did all the crown molding. I was the guy that did all the fine finish stuff, so like I'd be up there, I'd have my blues on. I always put the blues on, have a hot cup of coffee, and I would get at doing my crown molding. But there was days that my phone just didn't stop, man. I'd be up on a ladder, 3 steps up on a ladder with my pinner in one hand, my phone in my fucking shoulder, like trying to get a fucking cope together, talking to somebody on the phone. And dude, that's such a stressful way to run a business, and it's so hard. I know so many people that do it though, and everybody does it their own ways. But doing it as just a one-man show, because at least like, I think about like Mark Collier Home Improvements. He still is in a tool belt a couple days a week, but he has 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
Same thing like my buddy Sam Chase, like, he's still owner operator and still puts a tool belt on, but he's got guys. So if he has to go and take a phone call, he can stop what he's doing and go take a phone call. With you being you by yourself, like you take the phone call, you got to stop work, so
exactly.
It's like, that's like the most, I feel like there's no more stressful point in business than that. Like, I don't know. It's tough.
It is difficult. I think, another thing when you're on sites, if you can, be friendly with the other subs, but you got to be so careful about taking those headphones off.
Yeah.
You take those earbuds out and you start going, they're going to take it and run with it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys do not have families. A lot of guys do not have mouths to feed. A lot of guys do not have houses. They do not have things outside, their wife doesn't also run a business, so they'll chat your off for an hour. Yeah. And if you run into 3 different people on site, you can really burn some time. Yeah. That's a pinch point. Don't do that. I'm a chatter. I love it. I'm here right now.
That's why I always had a fucking edge on job sites. Like, a lot of guys were afraid to come and talk to me. I'm a friendly guy and I'll shoot the shit with you, but like you got to have balls to come over and talk to me. And you almost have to have that barrier, man. You have to have that barrier up. Yeah. Because I could see you fucking chatting it up on a job site.
And I will. And then to the point where I'm just like, I need to tell this guy to get away from me. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that, but I've been a lot better at it. Yeah. I've even today I had, I couldn't get on site till like, I don't know, almost 9. I brought the kids to the bus stop. My wife had to go to the shop this morning to finish putting the plant order out. I went there after with the baby. After I dropped the kids at the bus stop, I went to the plant shop and I helped her put the plants out. And then she took the baby and then I went to the job site and my goal is I'm going to frame these 2 sets of stairs. And I went there and I just put my headphones on and I was probably singing poorly and running around and just like cutting stringers as fast, how fast can I do this where, it's still quality. And I'm just like, I think I can knock these 2 sets of stairs out. And I did, with seconds to spare. Luckily you were like, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes. And I'm like
sweet.
Just enough time. So, I was able to get that done. But then, coming here, it's like, I love this. And the reason why I love doing podcasts and the reason why I love that you have a studio is because, I do want to go down that route too. I'd love to have a podcast. I'd love for it to be part of my income because ever since I was a kid, man, I used to listen to the Morning Buzz.
Yeah, me too, man.
And I was like, wow, dude, Greg is so lucky. This is the coolest job ever. And I really thought it was the best.
I got to meet them, dude. We did some advertising on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So when I was a kid, I was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to be on radio.
Yeah.
And now you can start a podcast with, whatever. But that's one of those carrots that I dangle in front of myself going, okay,
can't do that.
Hit these goals.
Yeah.
And then look into some equipment.
Can't do that until you free up your time.
Free up your time with the employee. No, but exactly. That's what I mean. It's just like, okay, so hit this goal. This is the goal. This is clear. Stop thinking about all these other things you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and as we were talking about, like the fucking video journal, the audio journal that you do, or like the list that I write out, put that in a fucking journal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen to it every fucking, couple of years. Be like, oh shit, that's still the goal. We're still going after that.
Still the goal. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that, the podcast is cool, man, and like I'm glad I'm doing it and it's fun, but it definitely isn't making any fucking money.
Not
yet.
know?
So, maybe someday it does. Like again, I'm not really
Here's
in
the thing. My boss in Boston, super successful podcaster, super successful YouTube show, making a lot of money. So I've seen that the path is very possible.
Yeah.
If you just kick ass at it.
Yeah.
And I think I can kick ass at it, you know? So, and that's not easy for me to say because I don't think I can do anything. But it's like, even if you think you can't do anything, you should still take a step.
Yeah.
And that's all I've done for the past, 5 years is take that step, 6 years maybe, starting at NS Builders was one of those steps.
Yep.
I don't feel like I'm one of those guys. But whatever, I'll take the step.
Yeah.
If he'll have me, I'll take the step. You know, and that's kind of what I try to do. Even coming here, dude, putting these headphones on, I'm like, I don't know about this. It's a little nerve wracking. What the hell is this? Cameras? But it's cool.
Yeah. It's funny how like you think about it for like the first couple of minutes and then you start talking and we get into a conversation and you kind of almost forget about everything around you.
Especially with the headphones. Love the headphones. Yeah. So cool.
So that was my thing with John when we first started this thing. I was like, dude, I'm not wearing those fucking things.
Yeah.
He's like, just wear them, just try them. I'm like, all right. And then I realized that it helps me stay like engaged in the conversation because, everybody has some form of fucking ADHD, right?
Oh my God.
And like, I feel like if I didn't have the headphones on, I'd be like fucking every sound or every noise, I'd be looking around or I'd be checking out to see what John's doing over here.
I just got diagnosed with ADHD.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had it forever, but
I've had it
finally
forever.
Diagnosed.
And the doctor was like, you have ADHD. I texted my wife, hey, bad news. I have ADHD. And she goes, no shit.
You just finding that out, Coop?
Yeah. So.
That's funny.
It is what it is.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I guess fucking, next fucking thing would be
what do we got?
The toolbox tips, man.
Toolbox tips.
You give everybody just a tip.
I was going to say the tax thing, but that was already, definitely put away money for tax. And I would argue put away, more than you need, right? It's just, it's going to be there, right? That's amazing. Other toolbox tip. Do not get caught up in these conversations on site. Some of them are valuable. Most of them, you're just bullshitting. All right. These people are great. I've had amazing conversations with people on site. I've made great friends with people on site, but keep what is important, which is your goals, in your line of sight, right? Because I can so easily get distracted. I would have never thought a year ago that I could trim and deck that entire deck in one day, but I did it yesterday. First time I ever did that, right? And it looks good. It's not like I cut corners. It's like, wow, this looks awesome, and I did it faster than I've ever done it before. Things that feel like they're just take the step.
Yeah.
Take the step. Keep taking the step.
That was going to be something I was going to try and coax out of you for this is that, you said that you had issues with, being confident, but yet you've still taken the steps that you need to take. Like what goes on in your head? Like how did you take the step that you took to jump out on your own or to go to this big high-end builder when you didn't have the confidence? Like what did that take? Just balls?
Just balls. Yeah. You know what it was, man? Like I said, when I was a kid, I had panic attacks from when I was like a little one, you know? So I've just been and when I was younger, especially in middle school and early high school, I was like, what the fuck, dude? Why me? Why do I have to be this way? But now in hindsight, it's conditioned me to be this strong person.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I don't know, just taking little steps, realizing that, you know, oh, I love conversations. When I worked at NS Builders, I got to meet, you know, guys that I looked up to from Fine Home Building, guys that I looked up to just from like big on Instagram, you know, and I constantly put my foot in my mouth. I'm like, what an idiot. All these people think I'm a dumbass, you know, and I just, you know, take your time, but constantly be analyzing how you're feeling and go and pluck out the little snippets that you realize are the things that are making your life hell.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you know, like I saw a meme the other day that was like, that sometimes this is what depression looks like, right? And it's all these happy people that, you know, were famous people that committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just, you know, thankfully I had family. You know, I had friends that I loved a lot, and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But man, just so, you know, when you make that decision, like, okay, I'm going to continue through life, you're either going to take out those little snippets one at a time and fix them, or you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life and you're going to be bitter.
Yeah.
So,
And you're not going to make the decisions.
So, you know, it's like I made the decision, you know what, I'm going to be better at having conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm going to really think about how I'm having conversations and think about, you know, why are these not working out?
Mm.
And I just, for years now, that's all I think about. This is my favorite thing, is to get together with somebody and have a great conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on it. How do I do better? But again, it's like, you know, there's part of me that's like, I don't know if I'm capable. I don't know if I can do this or not, you know, but I'm just like, but it sucks doing this.
Yeah.
So I got to try.
Might as well give it a shot.
You know, and you go in and I've just, oh, I'm anxious. Well, I'm always anxious. So, okay, go ahead, keep doing it. And just, yeah, I think that I just had such excruciatingly horrible depression and anxiety that, man, it just like, it made me so much stronger.
Mm.
And even when I couldn't imagine being an adult.
Yeah.
I was 24 and I'm just like, I am a child. 25, I am a child, you know, and now I'm, you know, going to be 30 in November. And I'm like, I can look back on some recent video journals that I made. And that's the best part about it, is you can look at yourself talking and you go, oh, this guy kind of knows what's going on. It's like okay. This is my tip.
I love it. I knew I'd coax it out of you.
Okay. Keep the video journal, because when you're looking at Instagram, okay, and you're looking at everybody else, you're looking at Eric, you're looking at even your buddy that's like, you know, just bought a bass boat, and you're like, man, why don't I have a bass boat? Okay. They're not posting the fights with their wife. They're not posting about how they, you know, didn't get the promotion, right? But you're seeing all their highlights and you're like, man, their life is awesome.
Yeah.
So keep that video journal, because you're going to come up with some profound shit.
Yep.
And you're going to look at it and you're going to go, whoa. It's like I'm looking at my own Instagram feed and going, okay, that guy, kind of from the outside looking in, I'm just like, that guy kind of knows which way is up. Yeah. He kind of has some good perspectives. And so that's my tip to you. Keep a journal.
I like that.
Go to therapy if you think you need it.
Yeah.
Don't I think everybody could go, right? Yeah. You know, too many people, when I bring it up, I'm an advocate for it, because it's helped me so much.
Yeah. It could help a lot of people.
Also medicine, dude. Yeah. I took, like I said, man, crippling anxiety for years. I started taking sertraline, which is like the generic Zoloft. After a week and a half, I was sitting with my wife on the couch and I said, Rachel, I don't have anxiety right now. I had it constantly.
Yeah.
From when I was a small child to when I started the medication that I needed. Okay.
Yeah.
I've tried the working out. I've tried the yoga. I've tried the meditation. I tried everything because I've tried changing my diet because I was like, you know what? I can do this holistically. I can figure it out, but it's not all bad.
Yeah. And
you
sometimes
know?
you can't, and that's the big thing.
And I just don't think that I could have. It seriously has transformed my life.
Yeah.
Therapy, medicine that I need, do the other things too. Work out,
Yeah.
stretch.
It's just going to help.
Roll your back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
Yeah. One thing that you said that stuck out to me is that like you met these people that you looked up to, the Instagram people and the dude from Fine Home Builders and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you fucked up the conversation.
Yeah, man.
And like you're hard on yourself about that.
Yeah.
But the fact is you got in the room with those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's again, like, looking at the positive and negatives of any situation. Like, yeah, maybe I didn't have the fucking best conversation. Maybe that guy thinks I'm fucking a weirdo or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if you're normal and you're like everybody else, you're not memorable, you know?
Right.
So like the way that I look at a lot of stuff, because, I've met a lot of high profile people and like I've been around in some rooms that are with very high profile people. And like, I'm not at that level and I know that, but I got in the fucking room.
Right.
And like, I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
So, and regardless of the conversations that I have or whatever it is, like, I'm going to make sure that people fucking remember me.
Mm-hmm.
However that is. If I'm
Right.
the fucking weirdo or the broke dude or whatever it is, you're going to remember me. And that's what I care about.
Yeah.
It's like the conversation, whatever, like I'm not going to beat myself up if I fuck up something or I give the wrong information or don't have the right fucking answers or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be happy that I made it in the room and that I left an impression on these people, regardless of whatever else happens, And I think that with like every other situation, man, like there's good ways to look at it. There's bad ways to look at it. There's stuff to learn from, and then there's stuff to be fucking proud of. You know what I mean? And being in the room with those people and like being able to work with those people, like that's a fucking accomplishment in itself.
It is, dude.
Fuck all the other stuff.
I had an amazing group of guys. It really was such an amazing experience. And I think it was a good snippet of what's possible.
Yeah.
And now I just, spend this time trying to get there.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
not even there, but to get to my version of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and those people like help you to fucking know where you want to be. You know what I mean? And like I was just talking about being down in Miami and shit. Like,
yeah, man.
See these guys, like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to have the mansion or the yacht or the big fancy car or whatever. Like, that's not really where my vision is, right? But like, I do want to run and operate a big, successful company.
Yeah.
Like, and these people have all done that,
right.
So it's like, just want to learn from them.
Yeah.
I want to learn how they did it, and it just gives you fuel to keep going on your own journey. You don't have to follow somebody else's path, but like, you can take information from somebody else's path and, apply it to your path and go in the direction that you want to go in, yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's fucking great toolbox tips, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a couple of them.
Yeah, perfect.
I can really go off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's all right, man. I mean, that's what the podcast is about, right?
That's right.
Shoot the shit. All right, man. Well, I think that's about it, brother.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm glad we were able to connect and get you on here and talk a little bit. I think that the information, stuff that we talked about, it'll help some people, man.
Yeah.
I think it's going to, it's the idea. We want to make a difference here.
Beautiful.
So I like it, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming
Frank.
on.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for listening, everybody.